Jesus Christ. How was yesterday with
Oh,
Megan?
oh yeah, I fucking met her parents. You know what was ironic? So I haven't told my parents I'm dating this person, and
Oh, okay.
they called me on the drive there, and it was like 3 hours. And I was just like, "Yeah, life's great. No, I'm just spending time with friends." While she was in the
What did
car.
she say? What did she say? Yeah, so anyway, we will be reviewing Shang Chi, man, I guess. Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, starring Simon Liu. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I honestly didn't fucking look. Um,
We're gonna edit all this shit out.
I am Steven.
And my name is Kenny, and I knew Stevo since high school, and we've been pretty tight for all these years. And we came up with the idea, like, to make a YouTube channel reviewing things we love because we share a lot of common interests and
Yeah.
we do a lot of things together. And our first review will be about Shang-Chi, and it is supposed to be the first movie to set off second generation of Marvel movies after the events of Avengers Endgame.
It's definitely an interesting, new, fresh concept that I'm excited for because I'm tired of all of. Well, I'm not tired of Tony Stark. I'm tired of Thor, and I'm tired of all this fucking Hulk and fucking Black Widow showing her ass every movie. And
Hulk is still alive, bro. So you still gotta deal with that.
I enjoy the representation. I enjoy the seeing new, fresh faces, actors, see opportunities because all these mega movies just get more money in fucking, I don't know, Tony Stark's pocket, and it's not new and exciting, and what I wanted to see in this movie was something new and exciting, and that's exactly what we got.
Yeah, but like it was new, but I don't think it really escaped the Marvel cliched plot.
Oh, of course not.
Marvel has very obvious plot line. I mean, you can't really help it because
Yeah,
in a superhero, like obviously there's a protagonist, there's a villain, they fight, and obviously most of the times I think heroes obviously overcome the villain. But
yeah,
what I loved about this movie was the villain more than the protagonist, really, because in a lot of Marvel movies previously shown before, I never really felt threatened by the villain, except maybe Thanos. Like for
mm.
example,
Oh yeah,
in
big
Thor,
Thanos.
yeah, except for example, like in Thor, the first movie, the main villain was Loki, and
Yeah,
Loki obviously isn't like the physically threatening guy. He just manipulates people and
yeah,
like he tricks them, so he's not like to the audience at least like
yeah.
really threatening. And in the second movie of Thor, which is my least favorite out of the Marvel movies so far,
Mm,
featured dark elves.
mm.
And I guess they kind of represented itself as a threat when, spoiler warning by the way, when one of the dark elves murders Thor's mother.
Mm.
But other than that, I didn't find them threatening. And the third movie of Thor, uh, what was the villain's name again?
Ragnarok. I honestly
Yeah,
thought,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, I forget what the villain's name was, but I actually honestly thought Ragnarok was better than the other two.
Oh, actually, yeah. Hela was threatening there with
Mm.
her presence because when she broke the Thor's hammer, that was like one of the most shocking
Yeah,
moments in
yeah,
the
yeah,
era.
yeah.
Yeah, that was threatening, and yeah, Hela is one of the definitely more threatening villain. And in Iron Man movie series, it featured Ironmonger, I think, in the first movie
Yeah,
as a villain, and the second movie featured Whiplash,
yeah.
and the third movie it featured
Mandarin.
fake
Fake Mandarin.
Mandarin.
Yeah.
None of them were really threatening to me because all their motive is basically, oh, Iron Man company screwed my family up, so I hate them. That's
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
all of their motive. Second, like if you watched it, like the final confrontation of the villain and like the Iron Man is like less than 5 minutes, dude. Like
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
pathetic. It's
Yeah.
pathetic. So like thanks to that, like you have no time to enjoy the villain. And I mean Mickey Rourke, I love him as an actor. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But like he just was not threatening. And
Yeah.
in the third movie, Mandarin, I mean, Mandarin turned out to be fake, but there's a fiery guy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
And his motive was when he was a nerd back in the time, Tony Stark ignored him, so he hates him now. I'm just like, what the fuck?
That's a classic, honestly. That's
Yeah,
like the same thing you'd see in like fucking Cartoon Network shows.
yeah. I thought it was really dumb. I don't know if the character is based on comics and if that is how it actually went in the comic book. But like, okay, you were a nerd, and Tony Stark, being this rich boy, ignored you, and you're just like, oh shit, I hate Tony Stark now, I'm gonna kill him now. It's just like, what? Like, that's so random. So,
Hey man, that's don't bully people. That can happen.
yeah, karma strikes hard, bro.
How I judge Shang Chi is probably gonna align with the what I think is the best like of its genre, and I think Captain America the movie line was really solid from start to finish. Like I don't think they really did anything egregious in those movies
Oh
as
yeah, yeah.
as compared to other movies, and that's sort of like the highest of my standard here. I mean, Kenny doesn't want me to judge it by this, but Civil War was my favorite. Captain America: Civil War was my favorite Iron Man movie, or sorry, Winter Soldier and Civil War, because those were just movies where not unpredictable, but they're sort of fresh ideas at the time. Sort of the idea of mega movies was first coming out with Avengers and all of that stuff, and that development was an interesting story arc. But it relates to all of these movies because that's the standard I'm going to keep, and I'll get into that later. But I wanted to bring up the good first because I feel like people would call me out if I were to just mention everything that was bad and give it like a rating that was
Yeah.
good without explaining myself.
Yeah.
But to me, this movie is definitely like better than average,
Yeah, same.
and
I
like
agree with that.
because average movies don't really execute things well. It's sort of like if you're writing a paper, they give you like a 6 for like a really good fucking paper that had little to
Also,
no
well,
spelling mistakes, little to no structural mistakes. It connected. It made thematic sense. It connected to the topic. That's sort of how I see movies. It's like I see it like a paper. I see it like a story. It's like how well are these ideas in the movie connecting, and do they make sense, and is it executed well? Is this actor saying the right lines in the right way? All this other shit. I really liked the action and the choreography. I thought that was
yeah.
top notch. Like, the kung fu, the martial arts, all of that shit was like lit. Every time someone would punch or kick or like block something, like when he was in the bus, like years later, like in his late 20s, I was fully expecting him not to remember any of his moves when he, was a kid being raised. I was surprised when he did, but not really because I saw him like doing push-ups and shit, so he was sort of in shape. I don't know why I'm swearing. Anyways, but like, I didn't know if he would, really, if he was really a gangster nowadays. Like if he could really scrap with the folks. And like, to my surprise, he like, the snappiness of every punch, every kick, the choreography of fighting in a bus that's getting crashed, like that was just epic. And not only that, but just later in the movie, like, his dad is just the most savage fighter. Like like his moves are always fast, fluid, like choppy, like
Yeah.
just a savage. Like he just looks like he is acting. Like his fighting aligns with how his character is, just ruthless and relentless, and just like I really enjoyed that about the movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think that's part of the reason why how it really helped the villain to present itself as a really menacing one because he was so good at fighting with all this choreography.
Yeah,
And in previous Marvel movies, I think only really major Marvel movies that has ever done hand-to-hand combat is maybe Black Panther and Captain America. And like when I watch Thor and Iron Man movies, like their fight scene's pretty cool. There's a lot of light, there's a lot of shooting, there's a lot of thunder and electricity, but there's Thor and Iron Man, they don't really rely on martial arts to fight, They're
yeah,
just like these two overpowered characters just mowing down its like obviously weaker villains
yeah.
sometimes.
Or like,
But
yeah, Tony didn't really like the only times Tony would actually use like martial arts or kung fu was when he was fighting
Captain America.
Captain America, or even like
Yeah.
in Civil War or shit like that. And it's just like nothing he didn't really do in his own movies,
Yeah, like martial like hand-to-hand combat is always so satisfying to see in movies, and I think this is part of the reason why, for example, fucking John Wick is so
Yeah,
crazy
yeah,
as an action movie. Like, I was like, oh, there's so many action movies releasing these days. Why does John Wick stand out among them?
yeah,
And I think hand-to-hand combat choreography is obviously one of them because they're so good at
yeah.
executing those choreographers in the movie, and
Yeah, like all movies that use pencils to murder people are just great movies. Like we've
yeah, and
seen it
like
in Batman: The Dark Knight, and then we see it in John Wick, and those are both amazing movies. I think
oh
there's a
man, I
trend
get
here.
so if you just see a movie where a person gets killed by a pencil, it's automatically a
Yeah,
very
that's
good
exactly
movie.
why I think this movie is terrible. It's 3 out of 10. But no, it was solid, and not only that, but just the 3D animations, the visual effects, everything was just crisp. Like there's one scene where, oh, spoiler alert, and his father had taken back the jade eyes from their children,
Pendant, the
and
pendant.
then yeah, sorry, the jade pendant from his children, and put it into the dragon at his home base to sort of activate it and get a message from his mother. And just the water, the way the water flowed, like I was fully expecting a freeze frame to happen where time would slow down, but no, it's like he actually just flicks his hand through the water, and it looks so. To me, it looks very satisfying, and I
Yeah,
really
I
enjoyed seeing
mean,
that.
Marvel really never disappoints us with their CGI effect. It's always top notch. Like
Oh
it's
well,
always amazing.
yeah,
I mean, personally, I've never seen a Marvel movie before that disappointed us with their CGIs. You know?
I personally didn't like Black Panther's final fight
Oh,
scene.
that was
That
so
was actually terrible.
shady. That was it looked like a PS2 game. You
Yeah,
know?
like Deadpool gets a pass because it was a comedy movie, but like
Yeah.
the Black Panther's last scene, final fight scene, that was the worst final fight scene I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. So we do agree that yeah, both of us agree that it has amazing choreography.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the next thing I like personally is that, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but as an Asian myself, I couldn't help realizing all these like Asian Easter eggs, if you were to call it, in the movie.
Do you think of yourself as an international, like,
Yeah, I mean, I spent half of my life in South Korea and about half of my life in the States just because I'm studying abroad. I'm definitely more used to the Korean culture, you know, like
mm,
with all its mythology and holidays, stuff like that, like New Year, like
yeah,
whatever.
because you were talking about the nine-tailed fox, especially when they went to the mother's
Yeah,
realm.
Talo,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The mythical tiger creature, the horse.
Yeah, like you're not gonna realize these things unless you're an Asian. You know what I mean? Like used to like you have to know the Asian mythology and its mythical creatures.
Yeah.
To
Well, I didn't know mythology. I knew about the stereotypes, like the grandma asking when they'll get married, and like mom telling the kid
yeah.
to get a better job. I noticed that stuff. I don't notice like the whole. Well, I noticed nine-tailed fox because I thought of Ari, but
Jesus Christ. I
but I
mean,
didn't
Ari
recognize
is
anything else.
based on. I mean, Ari is even Ari is based on
She's nine-tailed fox.
Korean.
The yeah.
She has a skin in League of Legends where she's wearing a Korea's traditional clothes.
I can only imagine like the person who created that was into bestiality.
Jesus Christ, man. Anyway. So yeah, there were a lot of Easter eggs like nine-tailed fox and like the mythical tiger creature. I don't really know the name of it on top of my head. And like the horse thing, like those are like actual creatures from Asian culture. And I personally thought it was really cool. Like I don't know, I mean, you're black. Like I don't know if you realize cultural references in Black Panther, but one of the one
No.
of the characters on Black like one of the characters in Black Panther has this disc thing in his mouth. Like you know what I'm
Oh
talking about?
yeah, like
And
yeah,
and that is an obvious reference to a tribe in Africa that
yeah.
actually does this.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like
Well,
and like
yeah, that's just obvious. Like
yeah.
me watching that movie. Like, it's not like I recognized anything extra because I'm black in the movie. It's more of just like I resonate with it more because I'm seeing myself or some version of myself on screen. Because they made a lot of references to slavery and struggle, being discriminated, and but yeah, no, I get it. Like a similar feeling would happen seeing yourself on screen if you're Asian in this.
Yeah. Yeah, like yeah, the household was very stereotypical, you know, like the Kate's mom was
Yeah,
telling her, why don't you get a better job other than valet parking when you have a degree?
yeah,
And their grandma asking Shang Chi, like, when are you guys gonna get married? And Shang Chi replies, oh, we're just friends. Like that happens in Asian household quite often.
yeah.
And yeah, and like I liked it. Like those are very cool.
Yeah, or even like the subtle like patriarchy slash sexism when by the Mandarin, yeah, he only allowed his son to learn martial arts and teach him things, and then
Yeah, I agree
would
with that.
sort of ignore his daughter and not let women train. So it's sort of like a parallel there in terms of culture and what happened traditionally.
Outside of reference to culture, it had many reference to previous Marvel movies. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
they brought back Ben Kingsley from Iron Man 3, who acted as Mandarin when it's really not. They brought back Abomination from Incredible Hulk movie. It was good to see some old familiar faces, you know?
yeah. Definitely found that refreshing. And another
Yeah,
thing
definitely.
that I really liked, Tony Leung. I think he's sexy. Kenny thinks he's
And
sexy. I
if
think
you think, yeah, if anyone thinks he's hot, even though, like, whatever your sexuality is, that's good enough. Like, he's fucking hot. That man is hot, man. Nobody's gonna disagree with you. Like, nobody's gonna call you
like
out.
the
Like,
way he
everyone's
just
gonna.
smirks when he's in a fight with his wife. Like I'm just like, yo, I'm getting wet right now. I imagine she is because she ends up having a baby with him. Like I remember watching that scene, I was like, she's totally gonna fuck this dude, and like they end up having a wife and just like full family.
When I first watched that scene, I honestly thought, "Oh man, this is kind of cheesy," but like I can look over
No,
that.
it's very cheesy, but I can look over that because I just enjoyed watching him fight and watching him make my mouth water. Anyways, but
Jesus.
not only that, but he's an extremely charismatic, like drawing character, and he's very like deep because he's not just a conqueror and a fighter, but you see him in the storyline trying to meeting a woman, trying to let go of his past as a conqueror, as a badass
Yeah.
villain, and letting it go, and then after his past quote unquote comes to him and thugs kill his wife, like he realizes he can't let go of his past because there are people out there who
Hmm.
will bring that back up. Literally it's this decision to keep being a villain and keep using the rings to promote his immortality and build his empire of control. It's just an interesting concept because it's like everyone, like he tried to put away those skeletons in his closet, but they just creeped up on him. And I enjoyed that idea about sort of villains is when they have more than just something evil motivating them. The Mandarin, not the Mandarin, but like the one who the fiery ball guy. I'll put images up to like help this explanation.
Yeah.
The fucking fiery guy who's a nerd and turned evil because he didn't like Tony Stark. That's not a really deep reason. I don't like villains who don't have like good reasons for being villains. Like Thanos, like he wasn't like a villain per se. He was just enacting his view on the world and doing it in an evil way. His philosophy was deeper than just, oh, I don't like heroes, or like it's I like
Yeah.
that a lot more than just the cliche non-dimensional version of a villain. Like this villain in Shang Chi was very deep and very different than a lot of villains we do see in a lot of these Marvel superhero movies.
Yeah, I agree with that. He was not motivated by pure evil, and even when he was trying to invade Talo, he did it because he thought his wife was trapped there. There's a scene where it explains like the evil things behind the CEO that's trapped in Talo, reaches out to people, whispering with their deepest desire. And to Mandarin, obviously, it was his wife. And I thought, yeah, that's really cool. Like, we finally get a villain who's not motivated by pure evil. Like, Mandarin wasn't going to Talo to.
In a fight scene, he literally like walks by everyone. Like he'll punch a couple of people who are in his way, but he literally walks by everyone because he's like he goes to his wife's place of rest and just burns incense near her and takes that moment because that's what he truly cares about. Like we can see
Yeah.
his motivation is a lot deeper than just I want to fucking kill people.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Like I like his the portrayal of the villain is very charismatic that you just fall in love with him right away.
Yeah.
And his motives are good enough for me. Like it's very reasonable for me at least. I honestly would do the same thing if I had the power to do it, you know? Yeah, I really love the villain. It was very solid considering that how they literally introduced the villain like in the movie. Like he literally just came out. There was no build up towards Mandarin. He's a new villain, and
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job introducing him to the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Speaking of like other characters I enjoyed the backstory of the main character. I mean, there are little inconsistencies here and there that I'll get to later, but I enjoyed that the main character sort of
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi. I really enjoyed the main character here because I mean, honestly, it was like an anime backstory. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that he sort of had this relationship with his weird, loving yet threatening relationship with his father. Like when you see him as a kid, his father's going to the gangster's house to like kill them all. and he stares at him and he's like, you know, a blood debt has to be paid with blood, and like murders a dude in front of him. All of that stuff is very traumatic, but then you can sort of see love there because he's like, his father asks him like, are you gonna help me? And he says like, yeah. He shakes his head, yeah. Like, even though he's like threatened as fuck because he just saw his dad like cold blood murder everyone. And it's just like that relationship building was more complicated than I thought it was going to be, and I was honestly impressed by that because honestly I don't really enjoy when movies use too many flashbacks to like explain the story. I thought that was like a cop out because they could have just, you know, they could have thought of a more creative way to introduce the stories.
I mean, I think they had to rely on flashback, but because like, who the fuck would want to watch an entire movie that only depicts Shang Chi as this like 7-year-old?
Well, if they focused on the father and the father's story first, that could have been a lot better.
Yeah, but like, I think they gave us just the right amount of information on each character for us to like understand. You know,
for me, showing a lot of flashbacks makes the movie feel rushed, especially when you're thrown into present day and it's like, oh well, like let me explain my whole past, like my past 14 years, like I moved here when I was 14. Like that was like sort of a big thing to throw us into and didn't really have a prep for that, you know. He's an amazing fighter, but it's like, okay, how did he develop that? And it showed it, but it showed it, we saw more of his present day self than his past self like developing, you know, because they want to show montages of like training, him hitting the post, like, you know, they use montages and flashbacks to like get us up to speed. That's made me feel a little bit rushed.
Yeah, that's literally what happened with Justice League. You know, like when Justice League was directed by Joss Whedon and other director, I think it was directed by two directors. That's why it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But like in Justice League, the movie is so short, but it's introducing so many new characters, like fucking Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman comes out of that movie. It was introducing so many characters at once with such little background in little amount of time that the movie went down the shithole. And when they increased the length of the movie with fucking Zack Snyder film, it was like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
It had way more character development than the original Justice League. And it's obviously fucking better. Like it's more crisp, like it's more coherent. And yeah, I agree with that. Like fucking, you obviously need character development when you introduce new characters. And in case of Shang-Chi, they introduced like very few characters compared to Justice League, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a 2-hour movie, so it's on the shorter side, which is surprising to say because 2 hours is not a short time. But they did introduce a lot in there, and I get it. Like Marvel is like this industrial production at this point, so they have to make it snappy and clean. But honestly, to me, it like makes it feel a little bit rushed. But I did enjoy like the backstories themselves. It's like the backstories were good, well orchestrated backstories. Like even his sister, which is why I like her, because she was a badass fighter, right? But self-taught, fully self-taught, out against all odds, like made her own fight club, sort of doing it for herself. It's like that's one reason I really appreciate like the representation here, because not only are they introducing Asian actors and Asian culture, but they're introducing a portrayal of women in a way that's not just one-dimensional, and they have more motivation, more drive than they did in previous movies, and not overdoing it as much as a movie like Black Panther did. Because personally for me, no, it wasn't Black Panther. Maybe it was Avengers Endgame.
You mean Endgame?
It was Endgame, where they had this one scene where it's all the women in one, and I'm just like, you know, I get that this is empowering, you know, to have this like, you know, Kodak moment, but like it's just overdoing it. It's like it felt so choreographed that it just felt unnatural. It felt unnatural as compared to here in Shang-Chi. Like the women felt more natural, and it felt like what they were doing had more reason and motivation to it. It's like they were telling us that these females were more than just females by showing us, rather than, you know, just informing us. Because, you know, she's a great fighter, self-taught, and you ended up running her father's industry. That goes without saying that it takes a strong person to do that, and I just appreciated that message being portrayed instead of just bashed over my head.
Like in movies recently, like PC and like woman empowerment is very common. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. I mean, it's cool to send out positive messages to young women out there that they can do what they want and stuff like that. But like the way they represent it sometimes is kind of cringy and not right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you watched this, but like, for example, Mulan. There's a live action movie that came out.
Oh yeah.
In the original Mulan in the animated one, she works hard towards becoming a good soldier, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously less physically capable of being a good soldier compared to her fellow men, but with her hard work, she's able to overcome that. In the live action movie, she doesn't work hard. It just happens that she's just fucking good at everything. Like, so like the movie is kind of saying that, oh, unless you're born with power, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah. Unless you're born as the hot actor, like you're fucked.
I hope young women don't watch this instead of the animated one and fucking get depressed. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you that even the woman empowerment, like, not only his sister, but
His best
his
friend.
best friend.
Like you see the story arc of her becoming more and more herself,
Yeah.
taking on roles of shooting the bow and arrow. Like, even though it's kind of cliche, like it's like she, over the course of the movie, you see her developing into a person in her own confidence, and that's essentially what everything was centralized around. It's like accepting oneself. At the end, the Mandarin had to accept that, okay, he wasn't gonna like get his wife back, and then as soon as he did, he healed his relationship with his children in some shape or form by giving his son the rings. And like even his son, like he developed into a character emotionally, just, and that's how he becomes his strongest self, because he unlocks sort of this ability to basically fucking airbend, and and also just like learning how to control the rings. And I'm not gonna make my Aurelia joke, but he does look like fucking Aurelia. Anyways, but
I don't know. I don't play League of Legends.
shut the fuck up. But yeah, no, you see these characters like they get stronger and they become better people when they become more emotionally mature and that's part of the whole theme. It's like every character goes through that, you know, man or woman, they're going all through all this together, and that's a good parallel to like life. People, when they become emotionally mature, when they overcome their baggage, or when they get through their traumas as children, they become better people, and that's honestly a good message. I don't think they intended to make that, but it was definitely a valuable message, very palpable, very relatable. And specifically with his sister, I liked her development as a person and how she matured over the course of the movie. Like even the scene where they're on the dragon and
you mean Aurelian Soul?
Oh my god. Yeah, Aurelian Soul versus Shyvana. Yeah, but yeah, they when they're on the dragon, like and the soul was getting sucked out, like when he decided not to let his sister go, that was a point of like maturity. He's like, they grew in their relationship, and that was a powerful scene. What
if he let her go and his friend just shoots the arrow right after?
Yeah.
And she fucking dies.
And then she gets off and she's like, what the fuck? Like and then actually turns evil. That'd actually be a good motivation to like turn evil, you know?
Yeah,
Besides,
yeah.
But yeah, no, she's a great character.
And when you mentioned relatable just right now, I found a lot of their characters relatable because, you know, as a college student myself, and you're also looking for a job.
Yeah.
And you know how like their friend, like one of their friend is a fucking lawyer.
Yeah.
Your friend says, "Oh, you have to move on with your life. How long are you gonna spend your life looking around and doing fucking valet parking?" Yeah, it struck me hard, bro. Like as a person in a college who's like kind of having a hard time looking for a job and like going through academic shit, like struggling with academics, like getting a degree, you know, like I found those scenes eerily relatable. Like I was like, "Oh shit, is she talking to me?" Like,
yeah, she's calling you out.
Calling me out, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm not even joking when I say that those scenes were relatable, you know. And I also liked how Kate was portrayed as a free soul, because I think most of the time, women, when they're portrayed in movies, they're bound to something, you know.
Or someone, like, or a male, yeah.
Yeah. Whether they're bound to a job or like they're like fucking in bad financial situation, whatever. Like most of the female characters in most of the movies are shackled by something, but Kate in Shang Chi, she doesn't give a fuck what she does.
Yeah.
And she's just a free soul, like going around.
That BBE, bad bitch energy.
Even though it is a very simple thing to portray, I think that could have been also empowering towards women. You know, you can do what you want, like, no matter what your parents say to you. Like I'm not gonna lie, I like the side characters more than Shang-Chi.
Yeah, a good side bitch. I mean, lastly, I was gonna recommend this for everyone, but Tony Leung has a really great movie called In the Mood for Love. That's how I was first introduced with him, and that's why I really like the actor pick here, is because he's that's a top notch, like 10 out of 10 romance movie. If you don't know about it, please check it out. It's called In the Mood for Love. It's made in 2000. Great movie, but that actor, it just like, I liked how a lot of these actors similarly had places where they were from that people could relate to. I believe Kenny put in some stock photos of Simu Lo before he was famous. I fucking yeah. All these characters had like places that they were from that we could sort of recognize them from. Like I think Kate was what's the actor's name? She yeah, she was in Crazy Rich Asians.
Aquafina.
That's
Aquafina, right?
Did she name herself that?
I mean, it's a cool name. I mean, I would have that name. I just read the fucking Kenny.
It's the name of a water brand.
Is it actually?
Yeah, you didn't know?
I did not know that.
Anyways, I was saying like all these actors, like you recognize them from other places, other movies, and I really enjoyed that. But to play bad cop, my movie rating was better than average, but not better than average. Because
what the fuck do you mean by your movie
like
better than average?
It like I feel like better than average is more than a 5 out of 10, and better than average is more than a 7 out of 10. Because the first thing I really Kenny pointed this out. I'm gonna let him allude to this, but what the fuck is this Romanian dude doing in a Chinese criminal organization?
Did you ever watch Creed 2?
Creed 2, yes. Oh, he was the villain, yeah.
Yeah, he's a villain. Like I see, he's a familiar face when it comes to playing side characters, and like I'm just like, oh, this guy has a sword for his arm. That's pretty cool. But
yeah, if we get no backstory for that, like what the fuck?
I mean,
who cut off your hand?
We don't need a backstory because it's so unimportant. But anyway.
Yeah,
like,
but it's just weird.
I'm just like, what is this Romanian guy doing here? I don't know. It's a very small complaint that I would assume that most people don't have, but I just couldn't help but realize there's this one random ass white guy while everyone else is Asian. It was so weird.
I guess I'll address the ending credits last, but
spoiler warning, yeah.
The critical things that really made me take down the rating of this movie was the Shang Chi, like his whole philosophy on killing and whatnot. Like first in the movie, right? Like he comes out as a fighter. All this other stuff, right? But he literally crashes a bus with people in it, and you know we see people suggestively like getting murdered and killed, like thrown off the side of a building, at the the fight club.
The fight club.
Yeah, and just like we see him almost literally stabbing a dude to death in the movie. And like not seemingly having hesitation, but going through with it. But the only reason having hesitation is because of his mother, and because his mother wouldn't be proud of who he is, and like all this stuff. But then all of a sudden, after he meets his father and is trying to protect Ta Lo, decides like, oh, I'm gonna kill my father because he told me once as a kid a blood debt has to be paid with blood. Like, so you're just gonna become your father? You're doing exactly what he would do. It's just like it doesn't really psychologically make sense. And that's another moment that was rushed for me. He just really we see him crying and like getting emotional over it because he has to overcome his emotional baggage to master his airbending. That was so fast, and it felt like if you were gonna master airbending, which is a technique from your mother, it would have made sense that you become more like her and let go of your past than go along with your father and side with him and become more of a savage and kill him. That doesn't make complete sense.
I thought it was weird how there was zero build up. Like he was randomly like, oh shit, it's my father's fault that my mother died, so I'm gonna kill him. And I'm just like, why is it your father's fault? I mean, I guess he is partly to blame, but
yeah, I mean, they wanted to make it like, I mean, I kind of draw similarities between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. It's like they kind of wanted to show up, like put that dynamic in the movies to where in the fight he would decide something different, and it would make for another Kodak moment to like show off how he masters it in the fight, and be like the same thing with the rings. Like when he takes the rings from him, like that was a very impactful scene that was very well done. It's like they wanted to produce a moment like that somehow, and I understand why they made that decision, but it was just incongruent with like his philosophy as a person.
Like I wish since they did so many flashbacks already, I wish they put in a flashback of 14-year-old Shang-Chi actually killing his mother's villain, killer. Like, it would have actually showed him like how he felt, what he went through, like during the killing that made him forbid himself against killing.
Oh yeah,
I don't know why they didn't do that. Like they added so many flashbacks already, so might as well just go ahead and add a flashback of him killing his mother's killer.
Yeah,
see what the character and show us what the character went through. Like,
Yeah. I mean, well, to keep it PG-13, you can't show someone actually getting killed on camera. Like, you can show someone falling, but you like even when his father was, at the gangster's hideout when he killed that dude, it was off. It was off screen.
They could have just edited a flashback. Like,
Yeah, they could have added a flashback like that. Yeah. Like he leaves home because he can't handle the idea that he's a killer, and then he's becoming someone that his mom wouldn't appreciate. Like he literally leaves home because of that concept, for good. Like leaves his sister, everything. And then like straight up just murders people, like seemingly murders people, throwing them off of buildings, almost stabbing them, like, and then decides to kill his father. And it's like it doesn't fully make sense. It's like everything would have led to you saying that, oh, I'm not going to kill because my mom doesn't want me to, and because that's who I truly am as a person. That's what I'm comfortable doing. Like I'm a hero, whatever. But no, he's just like, no, I'm gonna kill him. But I did like that the villain died. I thought I wasn't expecting
that was a bonding moment.
Yeah, that was a real bonding moment when he hands off the rings and
when
gets
Mandar
his soul sucked
sacrificed
out.
himself. Mandar sacrificed himself to save his son. And like even though they just had a big ass fight that almost killed both of them, like we know that both of them really love each other as a family and like father and son relationship.
Yeah, that says more on the villain's quality than the main character's quality, though.
Yeah, like honestly, when I was watching the movie, like when the big bad dragon died, like I was like thinking to myself, shut the fuck up. Anyway, I was thinking like, I swear to God, if killing the big bad dragon brings every dead person back to life.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna get triggered, and I was so thankful that
it didn't
came back to life. Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like fucking Naruto and Rini Rebirth. Like I legit thought that was about to happen. Like the dragon dies and the souls come out of its throat, and it's
yeah. I was like, is Mandarin coming back to life? It's gonna be so awkward. He's like, I thought I died. I want my ring back.
Yeah.
Give me my ring.
Or even like his mother comes back and stuff like that. Like I enjoy, honestly, when the movie kills off important characters.
Yeah.
And like to for the story though, not just for no reason.
I don't want a movie to be all rainbows and sunshine and like fucking unicorn, you know?
Yeah, no. I'm honestly a person who doesn't like, the reason I didn't like Thor Ragnarok is because it had too much jokes in it. And because I didn't really like that. I like more serious like superhero movies like Batman, like Superman, like those were more even like anything Christopher Nolan touches is fucking pure gold. But like I just really like how those are serious movies, and how the character development, like when it matters most, there's no one cracking a joke. And I feel like in a lot of Marvel movies that's the case. Like when it matters most, everyone's cracking a joke.
It really depends on the director, because I think what's his name, Taika Waititi or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Taika Waititi, like his movies are very lighthearted, like, and then like it's his style of movies.
Yeah, because people enjoy, like, I honestly feel like there's a money component behind making movies PG-13, but whoever directed Logan goated, just because I really enjoy.
Zero humor in that movie.
Just gives no fucks about anything. Like, we'll kill off your favorite character, and just for the sake of plot, pure emotional duress. Like, just they want you to feel something, you know?
Yeah, I loved it. I love Logan for the same reason. Like, and also one more. It's a very small, minor complaint I have with Shang Chi. It's so minor that you guys probably gotta look over it, but I wish there were more background story of the demon flying things hidden behind the seal. Like, it came out of nowhere. I was like, who the fuck are those?
There's no background behind that. Like, is that a mythology thing? Like please, someone inform us. Like, comment. Like, just tell us where the fuck that's from. Like you know.
Like, I'm just like, why does our weapon not work against them?
Yeah, like, I mean, I get why the weapons don't work because they're like otherworldly beings, you know. But like what other world? Like, what does this dragon do? What is he from? Like why are they fighting? Like, are the dragons related? Like, is it his concubine or something? He's just trying to suck the soul out of his girl he's attracted to? Like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, Marvel introduces new villains all the time, and most of the time they give us enough background story for us to, I guess, accept the introduction.
Yeah.
But in this case, I was like, where did this come from? Like, I mean, I guess they did describe their background by saying that, oh, our ancestor fought these like otherworldly beings that came out of the portal, and I'm just like, that's not good enough. Like, give us more.
Yeah, we needed more. We really did need more, and we didn't get it. It's really not a small thing. It's like there's layers of like villains that happen in this movie, right? Because we first
Yeah.
get the father, right? And that story, that father has a background, and then we get to, oh, but there's something bigger here that he wants to do, is break open this killing dragon who would end all reality as we know it. And it's like, well, what, like, background behind that? Hello, I want to think, and I want to give it the benefit of the doubt that it is related to some myth,
Yeah,
culturally somewhere.
or at least some comic book reference. I
Yeah,
don't know.
we never knew or were never told about anything related to that, and it's just like leaves us feeling sort of empty-handed and sort of.
Yeah, it's some hentai tentacle shit. Like,
Yeah.
Dr. So is it a hentai reference? Like
Yeah,
some
like, what the
Asian
fuck?
culture.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Yeah, so like that's all. That's the only problem I had with this movie. Like, what about you, man?
I mean, there are other problems I had, like inconsistencies that make me feel like it wasn't as good as it could have been. I talked about fast pacedness, but Ben Kingsley, yes, he was a cool Easter egg, but then they had him as comedic relief throughout the rest of the scenes. Sorry,
It felt like such a wasted talent because Ben
Yeah.
Kingsley is such a good actor.
it felt like a
And all-
force because they just inserted him and put in shitty lines and like had him seem like he was a cracked out like animal whisperer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, and he was just like portrayed as this crazy dude, even though like the whole screenwriting felt very cliche at times. It felt
Yeah.
so predictable at times. Like whenever anyone would say anything, I would directly know what was gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like the whole idea of like a character having to become emotionally mature to like become more powerful. That's a classic thing that happens in anime. Like the main character has to go through trials and tribulations to like.
even in Marvel movies, it's very cliche Marvel movie plot.
It's so predictable. Movies like Civil War, I did not expect Winter Soldier to kill Tony's parents, to be the one who killed Tony's parents. I did not expect that at all. And I really enjoyed that because it brings an extra emotional surprise in Tony because you don't know how the fuck he's going to react. But also it brings a surprise in Captain America because you don't know if he's going to keep choosing the side of Bucky. Those are strong opposing reasons that clash with one another in that movie. And it's like, it's not as predictable as this type of movie where when he was first tearing up I was like, oh, he's totally gonna say he's gonna kill his dad, and like they set up everything in a way that was predictable, as where other better Marvel movies didn't do the same as much.
It's not only Marvel movies that I have problem with this. I don't like movies that rely too much on coincidences.
Yeah.
So like when it's for the main characters to get to Ta Lo, like they had no way to get there.
Yeah.
And then they randomly meet this Ben Kingsley character and this mob monster thing that is so convenient that it can lead them through Ta Lo, the main.
Yeah.
And like it basically, so the main characters had to do zero research. They had zero problem. I mean, I don't know if you would call it following a fucking navigation route a problem, but like having zero problem get to Ta Lo and get to Ta Lo so easily.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, I guess it was kind of necessary to get the movie going.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. They just
if-
rushed
if-
that.
Like if the main characters were to do their own research, shit like that, like it would be way too slow paced and it would get way too long
Yeah.
to get to the action part. And
Yeah.
I'm not. I hate it when this happens to movies, but I
There's
understand the decision. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I didn't like it.
there's several points in which they could have done better with the setup for how they got into Ta Lo and like just the coincidences in general. Like I think if they made those two pendants directly related to like getting into Ta Lo easier,
Yeah,
then it would have made a lot more sense and been a lot more deeper than just like.
it did. Like
No, I mean like having it be like a key, like you have to have two, or you have to have like you have to be there at the right time at the right place, or even like them wandering into the forest themselves after escaping and trying to find their way. Like of course it would have made the movie longer, but it would have made it feel less rushed. It's like we just see them rush up with cars, and it's like it's directly opposite of what happened at the beginning of the movie because sure his father found it like by chance, but like he found it by like struggle and like his car got thrown off the cliff, and it's like he wanted to get you to like the end of the movie faster and get to this big fight faster, and even though I did enjoy the big fight and I did enjoy, everything that was happening there, I actually enjoyed that they killed off some citizens, and they killed off people that we had marginal connection to. Those types of moments made the movie feel not cheesy, but just very rushed and not well carried out.
Dude, like speaking of cars, the fucking product placement, dude. Holy shit.
BMW, right?
So many BMWs in
Yeah,
the car.
yeah.
So what is your final verdict? Like what's your score of this movie, man?
Like the only things I feel like were critical were the screenwriting, the inconsistencies of the story and plot. Like they weren't the actors' faults. I really like the actors, and I think that alone makes the movie better than average. So my final score probably goes up based on that. I rated it a 5.69 when I came out the theater, and shut the fuck up. But I would stick with that rating because it's definitely better than average. I would definitely keep it in that range of like 5.69, 6, because I think it's a great movie, better than average, but it's not as good as movies that it's like Civil War, Winter Soldier, or even The Starter, Captain America. Compared to other Marvel movies, I really enjoyed those. What do you think?
Yeah, I would. I hate giving like decimal numbers, so I'm just gonna give it a solid 6. Like I would put this. I put this below Civil War, Winter Soldier, and obviously Endgame. I mean, Endgame had a lot of build up towards it, so it's kind of unfair to compare to Shang Chi. But I found Shang Chi considered as a origin movie a way better movie compared to others. I would rate Shang Chi above Iron Man just because of choreography.
Yeah.
Give us your own opinion in the comments. Like you're more than welcome to agree or disagree, and maybe inform us on things that we might have missed out.
Yeah.
Always cool to listen to other people.
Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, like all the YouTubers fucking say these days.
We're gonna try our best to put out content. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching our video and listening to two buddies just rant out on a movie.
Yeah. Peace.